Alright, so I found a really cool way to use the Wonderfill. Again, looking always for different ways, different applications for products that I have already in the laboratory. And this one has to do with Wonderfill. And you know how excited I am about that product because it saves me so much time when I'm boxing and pouring impressions. This application entails using the product with implant bars, and the big thing with implant bars for me always is how do we maintain this beautiful smooth roll and contour that we have that's to be cleansable so that the patient doesn't have to be as concerned about getting it as clean, because a small prophy brush underneath of course gets it nice and cleaned up. But anyways, this is all polished and in wax, and now how do we preserve that? In the past I would take and cover this with putty, and then I would leave the mechanical retention on the backside of the analogs to engage into a pour of stone. While I was using Wonderfill one day, I thought to myself, well, why don't I just take and submerge the implant bar into the Wonderfill and leave only exposed the area that's smooth wax and implant analogs, and then pour my base upside down. So in other words, I have everything else covered, so all I have to be concerned about is replicating all of this in stone. And then once it's replicated, I can separate it, screw off my bar, and wash it all out, clean it up, get all the wax off it, and screw it back down, and then proceed with my processing. So that's what I'm going to show you today. Is I'm going to show you how I did that and how quick and easy and the nice outcome I get from it. And I hope that you'll find it beneficial. Okay, so the first step is, of course, to get myself some Wonderfill out and make my little patty. I'm doing it a little bit off to the screen here. You basically know what it looks like. This is a green Wonderfill. Not really any different than the orange Wonderfill, except in color. Also in front of you there is the Wonderformer, which is the, for lack of a better way to explain it, the cookie cutter former, which enables us to encircle this bar with putty, hold it in place, and be able to pour our secondary pour. So as you can see, I've made myself a rather nice little patty, and I'll put it down here. And then what I want to do is I want to submerge my bar. Now remember, we were talking what we want to do is we want to preserve the tissue bearing side in stone, so that when we go to process, of course, we have that nice leak-free area. There's no seams around the abutments or anything like that. That's one of the reasons I like it. Then we take our former and we would squeeze it down, try to center it best as possible so that you have the same amount of material from both sides, and take your fingers, of course, in previous videos, and kind of just pull it aside. You'll see I got a lump or two of it right here. Then what we want to do is we want to go back and put this back in my container for the time being, and maybe I should probably leave a little out. I probably have to backfill a little bit. I'll show you what that's all about. Got a little tool here, which is just basically a brush handle on the end, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to tamp down a little bit and make sure that this bar and its wax up are submerged to the point where just the tissue and roll around the flanges of it are exposed. I'm going to take my little handle and I'm going to push it up. I'm going to push the material, that is, the Wonderfill material, up against the bar so that I don't get any flashing of stone, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to mix up some stone and I'm going to pour it in here. And that's about it. Just to backfill it in a little bit there on either side. Kind of make sure that there isn't any way that stone can creep around my junction of the material, the Wonderfill material, and the actual wax up. Alright, so now that I've got that in place, the next step for me to do is to mix up some stone, some Cocal is a preferable stone for me, and I'll be right back to show you how that all comes in about. Alright, so I'm back. What I've done is I've mixed up a bowl of Cocal, and I am now going to spray some surfactant. I'm using that Harvest surfactant. I like that stuff. Been using it for years. I spray a couple little sprays. That's just to allow the stone to flow. And as you notice, I did that whole thing earlier on this nice piece of plexiglass. I can pick it right up from the counter, and I can proceed with the next step, which is to add the stone. So I'll put my vibrator on. Now I'll add a little stone. I usually start from the back side, and I just want it to flow. Show you real quickly. You can see, and make sure it flows really slowly so that it flows around each implant and at its interface. I'll do it again a little bit more. Show you that. I wiggle the platform just to get it so that it flows. You can see again, continues to flow around the implant abutments. Again, I'll just continue to add a little stone. I don't over vibrate it. I keep it on the lower setting because I don't want anything to rattle loose or create any bubbles. Again, I'll go back and show you again. There it is. They're starting to cover nearly. What you remember you want to do here too is while you're flowing this, you want to be aware of how much material is in there. The more the material is in there, the thicker the base. Again, you can see almost just the bottoms of the implants are exposed at this point. And that's the mechanical retention part of it, the part that locks in the stone. I'll show you again here. Here it is again. Now they're just barely sticking out. And then grab some stone here, put some more in there. Not as crucial at this point other than the fact that that just needs to flow. Now depending on what you like to do, that's just covering them. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the vibrator, and then I'll just scoop in the rest of the material. I'm doing this all on my own, folks, so if it slides around a little bit and stuff, you'll have to excuse me. And again, that final bit of stone just to fill the base. Now what I'll do is I'll wait. Notice I'll move it around a little bit just so it kind of settles out. I'll wait for this to set up, and then I'll come back and I will show you what it looks like. Okay, so I'm back. This is set up now. It's the Cocal. I'll show you how easy this is now to take care of. Just open up this latch, pull it forward a little bit, that unhooks, and just push this whole thing right out. And now all I do is just pull off the Wonderfill. There it is. I now have a boxed implant bar ready for the next step. And again, I'll come back and show you that in a minute, but now I'll take this material and I'll pick the stone off of it. I'll clean it up. I'll put it back in my little container for its next usage. On this end, what I'll do is I'll take some running water, since this is a water-soluble product, and I will wash off all of the Wonderfill that's on it, and I will trim this model up nice and make it all look pretty. And then once I get it to that point, I'll come back and I'll show you some other stuff that I do with bars as far as processing and so forth. Alrighty.